Oh, boy.
You did.
That sounds very
I wouldn't
official.
forget.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Town of Yarmouth Open Space and Recreation Plan Ad Hoc Committee, Friday, May 19th, 2023 at Yarmouth Town Hall. Before we start the fun and games, I have to read some stuff. This is to formally advise that as required by MGL Chapter 30A, // 18 to 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on June 16, 2021, as extended by Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, the OSRP Ad Hoc Committee will hold a public meeting at the date and time noted on the notice of meeting. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the alternative public access provided on the notice of meeting available on the Town of Yarmouth website.
I missed some of that. Would you mind repeating?
No, please. Thank you for asking. No, thank you. That's what I meant to say. Let's take some attendance. Steve Szanski,
Present.
Gail Charette,
Here.
Ellie Lawrence.
Absent.
I see her.
She's
Oh,
remote.
she's
Oh,
there.
present.
You have appeared. Okay, thank you. Christine Marzigliano,
Here.
Will Rubenstein here. Town staff, Kathy Williams,
Here.
Brittany Dorenzo, sorry.
Nope. She can't make it.
Anthony Bennett, Bill Benetti.
There.
Thank you, Bill. Nate Wetton,
Nate can't make it either.
I still like him. Roby, I don't know if Roby, was that a special guest appearance last time?
I'm trying to keep her on the
Roby,
list
okay.
when she can.
Roby
attend.
not here. And then our two friends, Cassie Bethany and Lauren Shunk from Weston and Sampson are here. Because
We're here.
on the screen. Okay. All right, let's dive right in. It's time for the old OSRP update, and we're going to discuss a bunch of things, the progress to date, the status of the survey. We're going to review some chapters, review some outstanding questions. It's going to be a party. All right, where should we start? Who should we start with?
I think we should start with maybe Cassie or Lauren. They've done a lot of updating on the drafts. But
Sure.
just to kind of give you a brief update, I have gone out to 18 of the 22 other sites that they did not do the site inspection on, and I'm working on compiling those ADA transition plans. Not a significant amount of stuff has changed, so it's more of a confirmation about what has been going on. But I need to get those forms completed and send them off, and it might make a few tweaks to Chapter 7 with regard to the ADA transition plan once that gets finalized, but nothing too major so far.
Okay, well, let's start on 1A then. What do you think, Cassie?
Yeah,
Anything?
I'm gonna hand it over to Lauren. She's been working through the reports, but I'm just following the agenda. Do we want to just briefly talk about survey results to date, or do you want to do that at the end?
It's up to you, Kathy. What do you want to do? You want to do survey results, survey update now, or just dive into this and do survey?
Why don't we dive into the meat of the potatoes
Let's
here?
do it.
Okay,
Sounds good. So we put together a questions shortlist and a summary of where things are at and across the sections in the OSRP. So Kathy, I saw that you had sent back a lot of comments and answers to these questions already. So thanks, we had a chance to go through and review. And I think overall, they're pretty straightforward. A lot of it is just picking up a few of the things that are in our court. So I went through and I marked which things are done, which things we still need to work through. I guess one of the outstanding questions was confirming members of the open space committee. So maybe that's something that Christine could help us out with or send us. We weren't able to find all of the members there. It looks like there's 7 members online.
I listed them in the it's you, Heather McElroy, Jeffrey Senecal, Beth Conway, and Christine Brantley. Was there others? It's in section. It's in the first
Page
table
right
of
at the top.
contents at the very beginning.
It's on page 4.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, there you go.
The last listing under open space.
Those are the current members.
Okay, so you only have the 5.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
That's good. Other than that, in terms of the questions, I don't know, Kathy, if there's anything else that you wanted to go through here. But I think it was all pretty straightforward in terms of what was noted there. So I can go right to the overall status unless there's anything specific you'd like to discuss there.
Well, I think we'll discuss this a little bit more detail when are we going to go through the chapters real briefly?
Yeah, we can go through each of the chapters briefly. So
I think we'll
okay.
hit on that when we go through the chapters, but then we can
Okay.
maybe come back and see if anybody had anything else to add as we go through.
All right.
Sounds good.
Anthony?
Anthony's here and he's now official boss of the Recreation Department. So I don't know if we said
That's
that
true.
last time, but if we did, congratulations again. Thank you. Now he's here, everybody. When you get to it, we're just moving up to the guide, which is in the last, I think the last page.
That's good. So overall, where we're at, so we've sent up chapters 1, 2, 3, and 7. So those are all in pretty good shape, with the exception of just a few outstanding comments. We are working our way through chapters 4, 5, 6, and 8. And so we will kind of, I think, follow the same process where once we've kind of done an initial review with some comments and coordination pieces, we'll send that over to you all to review. Some of these sections, so 8 and 9, will still have some outstanding information based on the results of the survey. So that closes at the end of next week. We've done, as Cassie mentioned, we've pulled like an initial kind of results just to see where things are at in terms of completion and how many completions we've got, and that looks pretty good. I think we've gotten 317 responses so far, and so that'll all go into finalizing these last couple of sections here. Touch upon the public comment section. So this is a couple of letters of approval are needed for this section. So I pulled out some more information about it down here. I don't think it made it into the draft that was circulated, but so the 3 required letters are from the planning board, the chief elected official, or the board of selectmen in this case, the regional planning agency. For the initial draft, what we've done in the past is just include a draft letter. It's not signed or anything, but it includes like just the title and an outline of the information that will be included in the final approval letter. And then we just put a big draft across it. And that just satisfies the needs for the draft. So for the final version, we will need the actual approval letter with a signature. But that won't come until after the draft and the comments are picked up. So.
Okay.
And it looked like in the previous OSRP, the 2015 version, there were a couple of letters in there. So I think we can probably just base the draft letters on there, and it'll just be an exercise of just updating that and just, yeah, not including the signature for it, but just put it in and put a big draft or placeholder across it.
Yep.
The section 11 is just references. So we'll just cross-check and make sure that we've included all the references. And then Kathy, we had a little bit of correspondence on the outstanding appendices. So the endangered species one, that's a pretty straightforward one. I think we'll just have to make sure that that's still up to date. There will probably be a few updates there.
Yeah.
Kathy, I know you're working through the land matrix appendix. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm just double checking some things.
Sounds good. And then, so the soil type key, I don't know if anything's updated there or if you know where this information is from. I don't know if it's a
Probably NRCS. It's
okay.
It's just the soil mapping.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so Appendix D will include all of the survey information. So we will be pulling that together. And then the ADA evaluation. So that's being finalized.
There's a little bit more to that ADA. There's some letters that need to get signed from the ADA coordinator, which is Sarah O'Reilly. So I'm going to touch base with her. I already mentioned it to her that we're going to coordinate that, make sure that all of that front end stuff before you get to the actual forms is still
Mhm.
accurate, and then get the signatures that we need. I believe one's from Bob Rittenhour and then one's from Sarah.
Sounds good. Okay,
Go
great.
back to, sorry, to go back to the letters. So those are letters that, do they need to be, I would assume they want to be redone and reviewed by planning board, selectmen, and the CCC. Can we reach out to those folks and,
Well,
or through
they're
Kathy?
not gonna, this is the tricky part, because I mean, we can draft a general letter, but the final letter is gonna be whatever the boards want to actually say. And obviously, they're gonna support it, but it would be they might have some additional comments. I can't get them to approve something without presenting to them what they would be commenting on. So it's a chicken and egg situation here. We can do some drafts similar to like Lauren was saying, similar to the previous ones. They're not signed, so they haven't endorsed it, but it gives DCR an idea of what the approval letter would look like. And that obviously we need to get them or we can't get a final plan.
Right, okay. Yeah, I
And
just wanted to confirm that approach. That's fine with us.
Concom, I wouldn't even prepare one for them because it's not mandatory. Ultimately, I'd like to think that we would get one from them because we do need to give a presentation, because this is an ad hoc committee underneath the Conservation Commission.
Should we jump into each section then?
Let's jump in. Yes,
I'm gonna hop instead.
okay,
Sorry.
good. We need
You are a
contrarians. We need
maverick.
Contrarians, or else life would be boring.
All right, so this is chapters 1 and 2. Table of contents. We're
Laura,
going to,
you're still sharing your
Oh.
overview file.
Lauren, can you send me that updated overview for the minutes?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can you see the chapter?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
Great.
great.
So table of contents, for efficiency, we're going to go through and update all of this at the end once all of the content is in there. We had moved the acknowledgement sections after the table of contents. So that was a change I think we talked about last time. We just touched on confirming the open space committee. The other thing to mention, so we have made a couple of formatting tweaks to the overall document. We thought it would be a good to just give it a little refresh and make it feel like a new document from the one that was previously submitted. So the font has changed. There's a couple of heading changes. Also for each section, we are proposing including just a photo just to kind of break it up. And so when you get to each section, you know that it's a new section that you're getting into. So. Note about including programming also. Yep, I think that makes sense. We can briefly mention some programming here.
This is just a real brief summary of all the things that have happened since our last plan.
Mhm.
So I don't know whether there's some specific programs that have been added, Anthony,
Mhm.
since 2015 that we might want to highlight.
You don't have to answer that question right now.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Just making sure. But can you please answer it in the next couple weeks?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good. Kathy, yeah, your note about does this level of project detail belong here? I think that is a good point. I think maybe we can mention it with a little less detail here. And then in chapter 5, it goes into a bit more detail for each of the projects. So my thought was maybe some of this level of detail gets moved into section 5.
Yeah, I guess we just stated these things in a very brief manner in the in the introduction.
Yeah,
So do you need to even state it again here under literally statement of purpose? So it's a statement of purpose of the plan. This is getting into
Yeah.
the details of what you've accomplished since then. I mean, I had mentioned maybe, I mean, when I was looking through the workbook, they're kind of like, what is really impacted some of these things. And I don't know whether this might be a
Uh-huh.
place of saying, highlighting the fact that, COVID-19 is really emphasized the need for outdoor and recreational facilities.
Yeah.
And, the highlighting some of the issues with perhaps our drinking water and the need to preserve and protect resources. So when you look in the workbook, what they're trying to accomplish here, I think it's a little bit different.
Mhm. Yeah.
We may have had in our old plan stuff like this, and so you're following that same thing, but I think maybe we were off a little bit on the last one too.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think that it's already mentioned in the introduction, like you said, maybe we focus on some of these things that have come up instead. And then maybe this information can be moved into section 5.
Sounds good.
Cool. These are just some coordination notes for us. I saw, Kathy, you added a little bit of text in here, and then these dates are still forthcoming.
Do you need to have the dates like in there for the draft to kind of show that we've scheduled something, or?
In the past, we haven't included it always. I think like my sense is that if it's possible, it's helpful to have it in there, but I think that we can just note that for now that these are to be scheduled since they won't have happened yet.
Okay. Sounds good.
I wanted to thank the Historical Society. I contacted them and I included the survey on their newsletter that
Oh,
went out on Monday.
great.
So there's another source for you.
Yeah, I contact Bob Kelly
So
all the time and he sends out
Still,
information for
Good
me,
times.
but that's great.
We love collaboration. Also, just wanted to acknowledge our friend Roby Whitehouse, the Assistant Public Works Director. Did I say that right?
yes, you did.
Has arrived. We're
Apologies.
growing. Every 10 minutes, we grow. We grow by one person. Pretty soon Brittany's gonna show up and it's gonna be
No,
a full
she's
house. No, I know,
definitely
I'm
going.
kidding. You won't. Okay.
I think with regard to like, we might need to embellish, some of the public outreach, but I think I tried to hit on everything. Is that going to be sufficient? Or do you need more detailed information than that? I know the environmental justice neighborhood, trying to reach out to that population was something that they kind of told us to do for the next one. And I think that's why we had a bunch of emails that went out directly to different types. And that's why I put that in there, different types of organizations that really support, some of
Mhm.
those populations. So do you think that's sufficient? Do you
I
need
think
more detail on this? I guess, does something go somewhere else, like the more detail, like what was sent out or anything like that?
I think that for the text portion, this seems pretty sufficient, like as long as it's kind of comprehensive in terms of what was done. Something that's helpful is like if there were specific emails or specific correspondence or things that were sent, sometimes that's included in the appendix. So we can reference that in here, like for more detail or to see the specific emails, you can go to the appendix that includes all the public outreach information.
I just also quickly, just as a quick friendly edit, I wish the Yarmouth Register still existed,
Agreed.
but it doesn't. And it doesn't say that we.
A press release,
we
yeah, it
advertise.
should probably say
that
press
we-
release in the local news outlets, which was the Cape
Yeah.
Cod Times.
So,
And they do it online too.
I know, I
Yep.
just wanted to mention.
No, that's a good point. And we don't have, we used to have a reporter who was assigned to Yarmouth and we don't even have that anymore. So there's very little in the paper about Yarmouth, unfortunately.
I would say in contrast, our friends on the lower and outer Cape are getting holy guacamole kind of coverage in the Cape Cod Chronicle, which we get at our chamber office. And I open that up and I'm like, wow, like every single town, almost every
Sandwich,
single
that's a great
meeting,
one.
every single is being covered. It's very inconsistent across the Cape. Sorry, yes, and Sandwich too. I'm sure
Yeah.
Falmouth and Mashpee, they also still have
Papers.
newspapers. Somehow this Yarmouth and Dennis are sort of flying under the radar. Don't tell anybody or tell everybody. Okay. Moving on. We into section 3 now?
Yep.
So
Let
much
me
progress. Here we go.
just-
I would just say on section 1, which we didn't talk too much about, but that's the plan summary. I think that might obviously need to be finalized and tweaked because it's essentially the executive summary of the entire report.
Mhm.
So that can't be written technically till the end, but we started it, so which is good.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So a lot of this information at the beginning is remain the same. This is an updated map that we've inserted. And there are a couple of comments on, so we had gone through this section and updated all of the demographic information. And so Kathy, you had a suggestion here using the land area rather than the total town size to calculate density. So that, yeah, that definitely makes sense. So we can make that update.
Just a quick comment.
Mhm.
Anthony Thatcher's name is Antony, there's no H.
What page is that?
With-
Where you at?
Yeah.
Page 3, the 5th line down, first.
Sorry, we're back in the earlier part of
Oh.
the section.
Okay, I think, what did you say the spelling was?
Anthony does not have an H. It's
Oh.
Antony.
Okay, cool.
Real trail. The catch.
And the data on 3.3, that's got, it says US Census Bureau, but I assume that's 2020, right? Do we have
On
2020 data now?
3.3,
Well, I'm sorry, the
um,
one before, the table before that, is that,
The source of your
that's
demographic.
2020 data, right? 2020 census?
sorry, which, oh,
The
this
table
one
before.
here.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
But when you go up to the top of the paragraph, it says,
Right.
according to the US Census 2021 American Community Survey. So that's different than the 2020 census.
Lauren, I thought we have a planner in-house that worked on this. I thought she said that we did have 2021 data this is based upon.
Okay, so that,
That's-
yeah, that must be why it's saying that US Census 2021 American Community Survey.
Because yeah, and I think that the source is not the US survey. I mean, that's a good point because the 2020 survey showed us having slightly over 25,000 people.
Okay, so we should,
Confirm, yeah.
okay. And so this, I think Kathy, it looks like there was a change that you made here.
Yeah, and I sent you that. It was that community, same source. I don't know where the 4.2 came from. I couldn't find that for the Commonwealth. I do know that it's the actual seasonal housing is higher for all of Barnstable County than it is for Yarmouth. But I don't know what it is. The HPP, the Housing Production Plan update we just did, also references 4.2, but I couldn't find the source of that. So
Okay.
maybe your in-house planner, who's the statistical wonder, see if they can find that.
Mary knows? Oh,
Mary might know too. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the one where she was like, I have verified everything else except for this one. Of course.
Yeah, the 34.2 came from the Cape Cod Commission has Cape data, and they, for each community and for the entire Barnstable County, you can find out this information on that website, but not
Okay.
for the state. It doesn't let you do the state. And if we're not sure and we don't want to, maybe it's something generic, significantly higher than for the Commonwealth.
Mhm.
I can check
Well,
with Mary
too-
Wagon though. She's our housing person who worked on the housing production plan.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll do a little more research on our end too, just to see if we can find some state sources. on this.
Okay.
Yeah, and this 2.96,
We're on page 7 now, got it.
yeah, sorry.
Mhm.
It's not that high. I think it's 2.19 according to the information. I can send you, I've screenshotted what I got from the Cape Cod Commission.
Okay. Sure, yeah, if you want to send us that, we can verify and look into where this came from.
Yeah.
And then here's a note to update the environmental justice
Yeah.
map. And then here's
that
updated
was still
land
showing railroad.
use. This
Yeah.
one, yeah, so this
Hold on Oh,
actually,
sorry. Never mind.
yeah, I don't think it made it into that one, but we've been editing out the railroad across all of the maps. So I think this one, or no, this, I'm not sure it made
Yeah,
it
it just
into
ends
this
at
one,
Station
but
Avenue.
mhm. Yes, it's been edited out of this one here.
Oh, you have the updated one. There's
And then showing the village centers overlay district across these maps.
Yeah, I don't know whether you need to do something separate for that, because it's really, if you look at our zoning maps, you can kind of see, we kind of have break it out to a little inset, because it's kind of complicated. It's just along Route 28 and there's so much other stuff going on there. But we're talking specifically about the village center in the narrative, so I think we need to be sure we have a map of that.
Okay.
We just updated the sewer. The only question I had here on the water, I mean, this is a very generic statement about what we have for water. It doesn't talk about water quality or anything like that. I'm assuming that's all dealt with in chapter 4 when we get into the environmental. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, there's a lot more information about it in chapter 4. And so that's it for chapter 3.
I got confused because all of a sudden section 7 jumps. to-
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 aren't that important, so. We just move right to 7.
No, they're very
I
important.
Yeah.
They're just the bigger, 4 is the biggest section of the entire report.
All right, chapter 7, analysis
mentioned
of
earlier
needs.
They're still working on those sections.
So the analysis of needs section, this is one of the beefier sections. One thing in other OSRPs is at the beginning, a lot of times that there's like a statement of needs that summarizes the information that's outlined through the rest of this chapter, including like, the public survey results and ADA evaluation. So it's kind of like a concise couple of statements that just give an overall statement of needs. So it didn't make it into this one, but we are developing that. We've gone through and added a lot of information on the online survey as it relates to each one of these sections. Open house information. Some information on the MVP.
Yeah, I didn't have much to put on in the MVP. I don't know whether
Mhm.
Bill or others have anything. I just referenced the latest MVP grant, which was really what we have been talking about with that infrastructure vulnerability assessment.
Mhm.
I'm assuming we can keep it short and sweet like that.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Needs from the open house. And then Kathy, I think you added in a couple more edits here.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Mhm.
I guess I'm a little concerned about emphasizing something that might have been said by one person at the open house.
Mhm.
Just because I mean, I've never heard of a master plan for the Reed Avenue Playground ever before.
Mhm.
So is that something, yeah, and.
Neither is Anthony.
Yeah, so. I'm assuming, and maybe Anthony knows more about this, but I'm assuming there are drainage issues at Peter Homer Park and Simpkins Field. Is that something at Peter Homer you guys witnessed, or is this a comment that came out of the open house? Because I didn't know about any drainage issues at these parks.
I have no knowledge of a drainage issue now.
So I do think the first two bullets, yes, but in field improvements
What about Simpkins?
such as. I mean, I realized
Nothing.
somebody said that at the meeting, but I just because someone said it, and then you put it in a report, everyone thinks it's
Mhm.
fact. When it may have been opinion, or one person noticed after a rainy day that it wasn't.
I think we're doing the right process, which is people bring things up and we have experts from the town who work in those particular departments that verify or need more information or say, no, thank you. And I think in this case, we're saying, no, thank you.
Mhm.
Well,
I don't think I think that's fine process, isn't it? Or no, it's not what you think it is more accurate as opposed to no, thank you.
And
Right, Kathy?
perhaps the
I-
order, of the first item where it said, items desired. As a result of the questionnaires. We know, what the order is, put it in the same order as what comes out in the questionnaire. Is indoor recreation the highest thing requested, is my question. Should it be the third item mentioned as something, perhaps it should just be in the same order as people indicated on the
survey.
questionnaires. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about the order per se as, it just says top needs identified in the open house, and it might have been one person identifying this as a top
I
need.
agree, I agree with
for-
Kathy on that because I did hear the drainage issues, but I do believe it's like one opinion or two opinions, and it's not representing the
Both. Peter
town
Homer.
consensus.
No, I'm not aware that, I just checked with staff, they're not aware of any drainage issues at Peter Homer Park.
And on this topic, the glow in the dark paint at Flags, this is the first time in this meeting when, I don't think I was here for that, but no one else has mentioned that to me, so I don't know if that's something that,
I think I'm less worried about something like that because it was the pickleball people do want to have embellishments, and we've that's
Yeah.
been
okay.
borne out in a lot of other survey results,
Sure.
but like the master plan for the Reed Avenue Playground, I mean, I went out there and it's a super cute little pocket park in a neighborhood that seems, it could have little things need to be done to it, but in general, the equipment seems nice, accessibility wise, it has some issues, and some benches might be old, but I don't think anyone's ever going to do a master plan there. So I don't want to put things out there that
Right.
might not be. So maybe we just get rid of the master plan at the playground, because I can't even imagine more than one person said that.
And I think we can all imagine there are a few more master plans that should come way before the master plan for the Reed Avenue Playground.
Right.
So we're gonna
Right.
try to highlight master plans,
Yeah.
not to mention the existing or up,
Yeah.
about, aren't you about to
Yeah.
update that?
Soon to be updated.
Exactly, like to me, this is
Yeah.
far down the list of master plans.
Yep.
Yeah, well, they're all being looked at.
Oh, yeah.
evenly.
Yeah. And what is the zip line maintenance? I don't know what that is.
Do we have a zip?
I was gonna say, do we have a zip line? I don't know.
Well, there is one at Greeno, but
Right,
that's
but
not,
yeah,
not managed by or owned by the town.
right. So
Brand new one, yes, you're absolutely right,
Yeah,
but I'm.
That's the only zip line I know.
Thank you. I thought that was
Sorry,
to
what
avoid
did you say?
traffic on Route 28.
What'd you say, Ellie? Is that to
I-
help with traffic?
I was wondering about the zip
Oh.
line too. I thought to
Oh,
avoid traffic on Route 28.
You mean it like a zipper? Like
Just
like-
a zip line over it.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you
I
meant
like
a-
it, Ellie.
I thought you meant a zipper lane, which also I would be open to.
Yeah, that would help.
I guess I would just get
I
rid
think
of
we could
zip line
strike that.
maintenance because I don't even know what that means.
Well, we also need to go back to the third bullet, which it sounds like.
Yeah, Mike
It
just.
sounds
go.
like, I mean, everybody wants field improvements, right? Because that sounds wonderful. But I don't think we should be specifying those two if they're, as
Not really a problem.
already
Yeah,
been
they're
explained by staff.
Yeah,
They're not a thing.
so maybe we'll just.
I
get rid
can't
of
speak to Simpkins Field because it doesn't get used on a regular basis.
No,
but
it.
I'm
No,
aware
I've
that
never
it's-
seen any ponding.
No.
on
No.
Simpkins Field.
No.
Sounds like we're gonna strike the third bullet, please, Lauren.
And can I
There it
just
is.
comment on
Goodbye.
the Reed Ave? it's probably one of the oldest
Yeah.
playgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it probably could use some updating.
Sure.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
Would it be beneficial to have a plan for it? And
We're going to do the full comprehensive recreation,
So
so
it's
that will get
all of
done as
it.
part of it.
Yeah,
Right.
So it's covered.
It is
there it
covered.
is.
Yeah.
And we're
I
not,
just didn't want to strike it
of
from,
course,
from.
No,
and therefore, we're not invalidating the concern or
Right.
the request,
Right.
but it doesn't need to be highlighted
thank you.
individually.
Yeah. So.
There we go. Look at that, committee process at its finest. right. Anything else on 722? Okay.
Is the glow, I'm just curious, I want to get back to the glow in the
No,
dark
that's-
paint at Black Swan, so sorry. Is that because they want after hours? I mean.
Basically.
They want to close down the entire,
This is that we're
camp.
seeing so much vandalism
Yeah.
there, it's daily now.
Could be inviting
oh, really? At the,
for fun.
Everywhere.
at Flax?
I'm sorry, not at Flax, specifically at Peter Homer Park seems to be the most prevalent right
Yeah.
now. We did have
Because
some
of-
more, we'd have some at Flax as well.
Getting a graduation back, so it's.
But it's even, it's been a couple of months now, it's been ongoing,
Oh,
to the
that's-
degree where it's not just art, it's,
Destruction.
it's destructive.
Hmm.
So the police are involved, but it's just sad
Okay.
that you have these amazing facilities and
Yeah.
I'm not deterring this, I just.
Yeah.
want to
And two people, the small percentage of
is.
people do
Yeah.
that, yeah, it
Yeah.
is bad. I hear you.
Okay, we're rolling on.
So you were gonna,
Yeah, I guess once we were going to elaborate and provide a bit more analysis in the section on existing and future programs. We could leave these tables in here. One thought is maybe these move to an appendix and it's replaced by some analysis information, and then people can reference all of the programs at the end.
I don't mind keeping them in here, do you? I was astounded by the number of programs and
Yeah.
I didn't know about them.
Yeah.
So
So I think
maybe,
more-
because people, once it's in the appendix, you're like, I'm not gonna.
Who's
look
gonna
at
read
it.
the
Who's
appendix?
gonna, right. But this might say, oh, wait a minute, I'm interested in such and such. I'm gonna get in touch with the rec department, and see about that.
Yeah. Well, we put on the front pages.
That's good.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Are these programs on the town website?
Yeah, they're seasonal, so like 15 of them up right now and then they come off, so they're not always listed, you know, but
Do you have a brochure for those?
we do. See, it's like a seasonal brochure, yeah.
I just wonder if a brochure, they want flash it on a list.
You mean like a
I-
digital version, like a digital?
Exactly, I love this. This is, people are so Instagram friendly these days that this is huge. And I'm just referring to the 469 respondents to the online survey. That's doesn't seem like very much, but it's probably huge in
Right.
climate terms.
Right.
Well, the only challenge might be, Roby, is if we include the digital brochure, it may not be as comprehensive just based
Right.
on the seasonality, but
Yeah,
I
very
agree. Is that something you can add on as supplemental material, or is that not necessarily what the state wants or cares about?
I don't know, but sometimes in the online versions, there can be a link that brings you to
Sure.
the website,
Oh, there you go.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be updated on a,
Yeah, and then,
At least in the electronic version on the town website.
yeah, availability can be information on the town website, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Score.
when does how often does the scorp itself? It says 2017, like, is that a thing that state does every X years, Lauren and Cassie? You know?
I don't know actually how often it's updated.
Trust me.
But
then-
I can find that information out. That
I would say it should
Good
go
to
at the very
know.
bottom of your list of things to do, but I was more just, if you knew off the top of your head, great, if not, we'll move on.
And then this goes into, I think I
It's
added a
done every
couple.
5 years.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say,
Sorry for the delay.
I hate
So
to-
it's probably being worked on right now for the
Okay,
2023 version.
okay. Well, I just wouldn't want the state to
Or
go,
5
you know,
plus 20, yeah.
I wouldn't want the state to, you know, wrap our knuckles. Because we didn't have the most recent scorping. But just giving you a heads up on it.
We're working on with the most recent scorp.
Okay.
We're scorped up to date.
right.
I don't know how to, trying to verb that out. I don't know if it works so well.
And let the record show that no other town that you're ever gonna work with is gonna say scorp more than we.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. We're into the 7 point, where are we?
We
needs.
are.
7.2, right, which we talked, yep,
Yes.
7.2.3.
723 needs from ADA self-evaluation.
So the only thing here is somewhere in here, I think. We're doing the ADA transition plan on all sites, not just the 11, and they'll all, you know, there'll be a combination of the forms I give you guys and then the forms that you guys have completed in the back.
Mhm.
But then we need to somehow emphasize that later we went and did a more in-depth analysis on these 11 sites. And I think I had a question with some of that summary stuff. We
Mhm.
can get there in a minute, but just, so this initial part's all of the properties.
Mhm.
So I think maybe what we should maybe take a look at the priorities in the ADA transition plan, because you do have some things that are highlighted.
Mhm. Yeah, so these came out of, they were previously blank. So we added like a consider note based on what was done in the self-assessment notes, and then low priority, but I just highlighted them so you could take a look and see if that they were things that make sense or something that you wanted to change.
So you're saying we have to have something for each one if there's a deficiency of any kind? Even if it's something that's not gonna happen in the next 7 years?
I don't think that it necessarily needs to be something there. But if there's something that's like a low priority and you would like to put it in there, then we can do it. If you want to just go through and it doesn't make sense at all to have anything there, then we can take those out too.
Or could we just put like none at this time, something like that, just to acknowledge
Mhm.
that something's written in there. I just don't want to get the question back that says, well, what is it in this box? You're just writing
Memorial
none.
Park, how would you have a path to it anywhere?
Yeah. It's down a steep stuff. Yeah,
No, Indian Memorial Park is, they're talking
the
about.
gazebo, not the Wings
Oh.
Grove. Wings Grove is a,
No, I was talking about the
nightmare.
monument. The,
oh, that's not even listed as a recreation area. What is that called?
I don't know.
I wanna say.
It's
Parent.
it's more of a historical
Parent.
site.
Yes,
Mm.
right.
It's more of a, yeah, historical, because it's a monument towards the, as everybody knows, towards the last Indians here.
Yeah, so it's more like a scenic vista from your car.
Uh,
It's like on
It's
parking.
not even a vista,
No.
it's just a cairn,
Right.
Yeah.
pile of rocks, really.
I was gonna say, but yeah,
It's more historical.
yeah, it is. So that's not included on this list.
I think I had mentioned last time, I did get a request from somebody over there to make an accessible
I don't know.
pathway or stairs or something over there.
At Wings Grove,
Yeah,
I don't know how you do it, Bill. If you can come up with some magical solution to that one.
yeah.
Get down to the beach?
Yeah, it's.
It was something I had
No way. The same
thought
way-
about looking into, but yeah, I don't want
Let's
to.
hear what Bill has to say. Bill, what's your magical
Hold on, I
solution?
have to close my door here. Hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe that's where we can put in the zip line.
There you go.
Now you're talking.
I have a feeling whatever Bill says, Brittany would be very interested. in hearing, 'cause-
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a lot of background noise here.
Okay,
I don't know. I told the person that I would talk to the state fishing and boating access, which is
Oh,
partnered with us at a lot of our saltwater access areas. So I have to make sure that the caller wasn't talking about Indian Memorial versus Wings Grove. First step.
Well, Indian
Um,
Memorial is just the gazebo, right? And it's just got a little bit of a grass steep embankment down to it. I'm not even sure how you would make that accessible without having lots of impacts to the buffers to the pond. But Wings Grove, I mean, those grades there, I don't even know if you can get an accessible parking space that would have the 2% maximum cross slope on it. Just because
Right.
it's so crazy. And if you did, it would be at the far end. It's just it's a very steep parking lot, and a very steep beach. So I don't know how you can make that work. And then, of course, like I say, you have all the environmental resources and stuff. It's almost like the parking needed to be up top where the basketball court is, and then the lower areas could be, you could work your way down to the beach that way. But that's a huge project.
Right. Right. So, yeah, for now, I would just leave this very vague, but I just want to mention that is something I need to look into again and circle back around with this person that called me and ask just what it was that they were referring to and then see if it's feasible or not, if anything's feasible and if the state would have an appetite for it.
Well, when we were meeting with them on the Riverwalk Park, it doesn't sound like they have a ton of money for construction.
Yeah. So, yeah, it may end up not going anywhere, very likely, but I just thought I'd mention it.
Thank you, Bill.
So maybe we can just look at the yellow ones and see if we have any issues with leaving them in as low priority. I just like.
Gail, do you have any thoughts?
You're just never going to be able,
Always going to defer to you.
you're just
You
never
know
going to
more
be
about
able to
this
do
than
it
I
some places.
Well, the only thing I'm
Yeah.
thinking about is that if we could just concentrate, even if we concentrate on just one, two good places, I think that would be.
It doesn't
A
have to
start.
be all,
Right.
it doesn't have to be.
Instead of going
Well-
everywhere.
How about, I mean, what's the harm in leaving it in as we'll consider or we'll investigating the possibility? Because consider is one thing and then seeing if it's feasible, like, do some sort of a low scale feasibility assessment in some of these areas. Because some of them it's not going to be feasible, as you said.
Sure, please.
I was just gonna say, Bill, when you go out, maybe I'd like to come with you and just see what's
Mm.
going on. I think that would be.
It's telling.
Because then I can
Right.
understand.
In real
And then I-
time.
Right, and then I can get back to the commission and say, hey, you know what? Our land does not provide for this kind of thing,
Sure.
So. I'll get your information and I'll contact you,
That sounds great.
okay?
And as it relates to this particular plan, are you okay with the wording here about considering? And that's number one. And number two, are there any particular ones here that are higher priority as you look at them than others?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't know half of these places, so for me to interject anything.
It's all right.
There's some places when I was doing the inspections for the transition plan, it's like, oh, there might be able to do this, or you might be able to do that, or there's a simple fix to a problem. But then there's just some like the Wings Grove and even like the Indian Memorial Gazebo, the grades just aren't conducive to doing that, and the impacts to, maybe some environmental resources might also be another issue. So I try to keep in mind like what that would be.
And because, like I have a mobility issue, I can really assess that very quickly and say, there's no way,
Sure.
I don't see that.
Yeah, the Wings Grove would be very telling for you to go and see.
So I think that would be good if I can go with
Yeah.
Bill, just to see the lay of the land and then surmise some things.
Yeah.
Well, then in the meantime, is it okay then to say for some of these that we
If just-
don't, or we're still assessing? Is that okay as part of this draft, or do we have to be more definitive before the draft goes in?
I think the leaving it as consider adding and then saying low priority is fine, so that they know that
Okay.
this is a way of solving the problem, but it's low priority. And might be low priority, not just because it's a not as well used facility, but it might just be because of actual physical feasibility.
Well, and we're still telling the truth. In other words, we're not
Yeah.
misleading anybody. We're still considering it, so it's still accurate. That's important too.
Open-ended, yeah.
We could also print a brochure saying which locations are ADA
We
compliant.
can, but it feels like we're,
Which are, still being considered.
I like the idea of, you need to really, because I don't even know where it's accessible, except I think the two beaches, that's the only thing I remember. Seagull Beach and,
Or even something on a website. Just saying, these are ADA compliant.
absolutely.
You probably will be, there's portions of this site that's ADA compliant, so you can get to the,
Right.
you can get to
Yes.
this and you can get to that, but you're not gonna be able to get to that. But I think your point's well taken, is if you have mobility issues, it would be nice to readily know where the
Mhm.
places you could go. So it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
And that would really. cut to the
Yeah,
chase.
it's just not like saying an overlook is ADA compliant, but the trails are rugged and not accessible. It's, just to balance it, what you can do and what you can't do.
I just have to say something else. There's a chair that's called the grit chair. It's a wheelchair that actually people can use on parks. But I'm not sure about our parks because I've never been on these parks, so I don't know.
I know
So-
someone who has one. She actually got it when she went to Europe. So I can ask her whether or not she's used it.
That'd
at-
be good.
yeah.
The grid chair.
Yeah.
Yep.
GRIT, yeah. I can get you the information, Anthony, if you want. Sure. Okay, great.
So this is something that can go over more rugged ground than like a traditional.
Right.
ledge.
Yeah, she did some pretty serious hiking with it.
Nice.
She wasn't hiking, but I mean, she was able
Right.
to go on the ride.
course.
It was really kind of cool because she can't barely walk.
So I'll touch base with you also.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin.
On Meadowbrook, I think I agree that that's a low priority, but there's a couple of issues out there that you were gonna go fix, Bill. Like the top rail at the end of the overlook,
Oh.
and also the tread on the stairs down to the mark.
I definitely remember talking about the railing. I don't remember the tread part.
There's stairs
down
at the
at
very,
end.
at the very end, there's stairs that go, I don't know why there's stairs that necessarily go down the marsh, other than it was to like, for repairs to the boardwalk itself, but it's missing one of the treads.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, yeah, I'll go back out and look at that, because that's a good point, like, and if Brittany were here, maybe she'd have some more input, but like stairs to the marsh,
Not a good idea.
to access the pond, like, and to over the marsh, like, are we promoting people to trample the marsh there? I mean,
Right.
Right.
I was
mean,
surprised it was there.
yeah, I mean, they could access the Swan Pond or Seine Pond, however you want to call it, from the boat ramp on Lake Road. And there's a fishing pier at Parker's River Bridge. So I don't, those stairs have always been there, and I don't really know. It may be something we want to look at, it just making that a boardwalk, just
Yeah,
for observation.
I think Brittany would probably be happy to have
Yeah.
that done. What is that boardwalk made out of? Looks like taffy. It's like.
Looks like what, Taffy?
I said taffy. Those sideboards are all wobbly.
Yeah,
What is that
So it-
material?
it's made out of composite decking, like the Trek decking, and it was built when like that material first started coming out. But the
Yeah,
problem is that doesn't make, it was all right, like, as the deck. But when when they use it as railing, and so the posts that it got screwed into were so far apart that, as opposed to traditional lumber, it warps when you don't have it nailed down in a,
Yeah.
in a lot of places. You don't have it contacting a nailing surface in a lot of places. So it really wasn't a great option for the railing part.
yeah, yeah, agreed. It did seem like it was an earlier version of stuff like AZAC you can get now.
Yeah,
So I guess the only other thing is, and this is a question for Bill, is that Crab Creek Trail and Fishing Pier, which is next to that box culvert, and
Yeah.
maybe Ellie knows that's being replaced as the Friends of Bass River. I haven't seen the plan of that bridge, so I would assume that that's gonna impact this Crab Creek Trail and Fishing Pier at all?
yeah,
or-
absolutely. So, and I've spoke to Rick Bishop on that multiple times, saying that needs to be in the plans when you're working on these plans. Because honestly, that is not in good shape at all, that little fishing pier at Crab Creek. And
Okay.
if there wasn't going to be a the project that's being planned there, I would have put in for capital money sooner to replace that and just, but knowing that bridge project is going to happen, there's no point in rebuilding that little fishing pier where it is. because
Right.
It's gonna have to be rebuilt after the bridge is done.
By
And in the-
whom? But is it incorporated into the project? It's gonna be
It's got-
rebuilt as part
That's
of the
my
pro-
understanding. They
Okay.
said they would incorporate it.
So maybe that's something that we can note.
Yeah.
And the trails are gonna be added too.
Well,
Yeah,
the
further,
trails-
yeah,
The trails, we've already had to reroute those trails and create new trails, because even when they widened the culvert, however many years ago, within the last 10 years, that all got scoured out and the bank got undermined and we lost the trail that was right along that bank. So we've already had to mow new trails further in, and we'll have to do that again when they do the new bridge.
yeah. So I just think it can be just saying that the trail and fishing pier will be rebuilt as part of that project,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah, I think if we just note that, that would be great.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, I took out the two comments that were on Horse Pond Conservation Trails. I think you had land does not allow for ADA parking. I don't think there's anything you can do to Horse Pond because the trails aren't accessible. I think, so I don't know whether we need to include anything there. None at this time. That sounds good. And then Alms House Road, people can get that gorgeous view just parked in your car. You don't need to have an ADA parking space. Most people just go and sit in their car anyway and look at the sunset. So that's perfect.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so this overarching recommendations, are these just applying to the 11 sites that you guys went to?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so-
these are just the 11 sites. So yeah, that makes sense. We can clarify that it was done in depth for 11 sites that were visited.
Perfect.
I would think, wayfarer or interpretive signage, where it says 3 properties, it should be for, conservation trails or something. It isn't just 3.
I think these are talking about the three of the 11 properties that they inspected in detail.
Yeah, but people don't know that.
That's what we were just saying, that
Yeah.
you need to clarify the 11 properties that were looked at, and that maybe this kind of goes as a summary at the end, right? I mean, you talk about,
It does say, the inventory of the 11 open space properties can be found in appendix A. Because it says across all sites, maybe it should say
right, but there,
at the 11 sites visited.
exactly, that's what I was saying, and all I'm saying is that maybe this summary goes after all the more detailed tables that tell you what's going on, and then you can just say at the end, maybe these two things go after the table, I guess is my point. You
Mhm.
do a great job of summarizing the table, and then you can just do that.
Sounds good. And then, yeah, this table goes into more of the detailed
Just
information.
Unpack it landing. I thought we were gonna,
Mhm.
we weren't gonna propose the parking lot be
So
permeable
this
pavers.
one.
Yeah, I thought we were
Okay.
gonna, yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
So
Thank you.
just one quick comment on Packet Landing. I don't know if anybody else here was part of that. And we had a steering committee meeting yesterday for the municipal vulnerability grant and assessment that is going on right now. To address coastal resiliency and sea level rise, storm surge. So Packet Landing rated at the #1 priority townwide in terms of that project because of the way it floods and how vulnerable it is. And actually, as soon as I get off this meeting, I'm going to go into another meeting about a possible CZM grant to actually implement, come up with some conceptual plans for a project at Packet Landing to address that vulnerability. So that's like brand new information. Brand new in the sense that we may be at a point that we may be looking to implement a project as a result of the townwide assessment that was done for coastal vulnerability to actually move forward with trying to get some conceptual plans to implement a project at Packet Landing.
Were there any other facilities listed in this table of the 11 that they looked at that were highlighted in your vulnerable? Because it might make sense to identify that as a priority of indicating that it was assessed as part of that MVP assessment and deemed, obviously for Packet Landing, the #1 concern and
Yeah.
looking for additional grant fundings. But were there any other properties like
Yeah, where's
Smugglers and the Sailing Center?
where's the 11 again? Can you go back? Is there a, yes, there. Yes, so Grays Beach, Smugglers Beach, the Sailing Center at Englewood, and I think that's it from that list. So Packet Landing, Smugglers Beach, Yarmouth Sailing Center, and then at Grays Beach, and of course Packet.
So those are all being assessed as part of the MVP vulnerability assessment?
Those scored high in terms
Scored
of
high,
being
okay.
vulnerable, very vulnerable.
Then maybe that's what we say, scored very high and.
Yeah.
And so what's coming out of the MVP is a priority list of things to
Yeah.
look at closely? Okay.
For town infrastructure, yep. Like, so town buildings, roads, even kind of looking at our marshes as infrastructure because a marsh protects, is such a natural protective layer against, erosion and sea level rise and all that. It's a natural way to armor our coast. So yeah, even marshes, but typically they're, you think of municipal infrastructure, you think of our assets, our buildings, our marinas, our fishing piers, and our roads.
Hey, Bill, I have a question about the Packet Landing assessment that you just mentioned. How does that dial into the replacement of the bridge?
Well,
And the
that's
timing and the sequencing of that entire fun party we're about to have.
right. I'm not entirely sure, so that's what I'm going to bring up in this next meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
And what
Because I'm not
could be-
exactly sure what even they would be proposing.
And maybe between you and Roby, do we have any sense, just because we're discussing the Bass River Bridge area itself, as to what the timing is from the state, or the last thing we heard?
Well, the last thing I heard was the fall of 24. So like
Okay,
start
That's
work
what
in
I heard.
September of 24. So like,
okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have a question on the MVP. Is Amanda directly working with you on that?
Yeah. She'll be at this, well, she's supposed to be at this meeting with me at 11. So
Good, thank you.
Can you tell us who Amanda is, just so we all get to?
Sorry, Amanda Lima is our town engineer.
Oh, right, of course, Amanda. We've seen her a few months ago.
Yes.
Now it's all coming together. Allegedly. Okay. It's good to be reminded who all these nice people are. So we moved through the 7.4 table, 7.4, sorry. Any other thoughts there? If not, we're gonna keep rolling.
Yeah, I don't know what,
Use vision map as a big blank there.
yeah, yeah, they probably have the map up. It's
I
the
think it's
old
teasing.
vision map from 2011 that was done by the Cape Cod Commission. If you keep scrolling down, you'll show it. Yeah. No,
Oh,
nope, that's not it.
I think I have to
Yeah, turn off.
do
some-
the
yeah,
turn off
make it all-
the, I
yeah.
have the.
Yeah, I didn't have all the markups for you guys because it was just be very confusing to read with all the markups. Um, Yeah, just keep going. I think it's in there.
There it is.
Yeah, there we go. So as part of like the regional policy plan that the Cape Cod Commission was doing back in the day of 2011, the town of Yarmouth developed this Yarmouth land use vision plan. It also was incorporated in the local comprehensive plan. I think this is still relatively accurate compared to the Cape Cods under their current RPP evaluated the town of Yarmouth, and they have a place type map. So they have these activity centers for Yarmouth based on a bunch of parameters, and then open space areas. Their activity center was South Yarmouth next to the Four Corners there, and then a little place next to the Cape Cod Hospital, because they were looking at existing things. What we're looking for in our vision plan is what we want these things to be in the future. So I almost think that the current vision plan still generally applies. I mean, I don't know whether. So do we need to even include the vision plan if we don't have a up to speed one? Because in many real senses, the zoning map is reflective of this now. Because this was done before we did the VCOD.
Right.
So do we need to include it at all?
I wouldn't think so.
So maybe we just don't include it. I think the zoning map reflects kind of what we have been visioning our town to look like.
How
right
often
now.
does the Cape Cod Commission do this?
I'm just,
Or is that not as regular a thing?
no, this was something they wanted the town to do. And we
Oh,
did it.
sorry, I thought it was more like, hey, we're. gonna do the whole
No.
Cape, and
Oh,
here's
they
yours,
did do
Yeah, they
the
did.
place types when they updated the latest RPP
Which would have been in the last,
a couple of years.
right,
It was pre-COVID.
here.
The COVID years make these like things.
Sometimes things got off schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we'll just fix the zoning map somehow.
And then, there we go.
And there's one question at the end for Bill. He's got a while. I don't know if this statement's true or not. Bill,
Uh,
I know there was some winter damage.
yeah, during let me read it, was able to provide valuable memo to quick repair and real and spur, which is usually. Yes, that was, did you take that from the last one, or is that?
That's my fear. I think it was from the last one, but I think it's also true. now.
Unfortunately, it's a recurring event.
Well, it's related to the moorings here or the dock, right?
So, yeah, what was done recently was, and not just Natural Resource Division, it was the Parks Department, really that rebuilt the marina docks. And we worked with them on the whole process of installing the new docks and modifying how they're connected to the pier. So, yeah, I believe that what was in here was probably from the last one, and that's
Exactly.
old news.
Right. So was it during the recent winter damage? It's to the marina dock at Bass Hole,
Yes,
and Natural Resources and Parks were able to provide
Yes.
reopen the marina.
yeah. Well, we did do some more work to the boardwalk too, but it was just at the entrance to it.
Right.
It had been undermined, the piling that was as you approach the boardwalk. But that we put out a bid on it, and Robert Howard did that work. So that
think-
did happen too, but
I think this is just trying to highlight how we coordinate with different town staff and different town departments.
Right,
So I think if it's really just modifying this, Lauren, about during the recent winter damage to the Bass Hole Marina, or the marina at Bass Hole, Natural Resources and Parks were
right.
able to to reopen the marina.
Okay. I believe we have just made it through number 1 on our agenda, which was the meat of this and the potatoes, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that.
The meat and the potatoes of this meeting. Is there anything else that we missed, Lauren and Kathy, about this part of the agenda? Or is now the time to talk about the survey?
I think the only comment I would make
Sure.
is, as we're moving forward, with looking at subsequent drafts, it's helpful to accept all the changes from that first draft and then just see what the new draft, what the new edits are, as moving forward. That would be great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so our plan moving forward is to incorporate these edits. Pick up any comments that we heard today. Then move through those other sections and have, to the best of our ability, as much done for the next meeting, which I believe is the June 2nd. The next meeting, but we'll do
Yeah.
a similar exercise that we did here for that meeting on new sections.
Okay, we'll come back to the next meetings in a minute, but I'm glad you planted your flag there.
My only comment would be, I know that previous comments, Christine had previous comments on the draft that I think impacted some of the next sections, as did, I know Brittany had some comments, and then we also had some comments from our water department, and you should have all of that, and you're, okay, just confirming you're incorporating all that great input into the next.
We said we were gonna talk about the survey. Is this the time to talk about it, or did we already handle? I think we need to handle that, right?
I think we kind of,
I don't know.
I think it was just indicating that we had about the 370.
Okay, wasn't sure. if
Yeah.
there was something else there.
Yeah, we haven't dug into the analysis yet,
Right.
but we've got 317 responses as of a couple days ago, 2 in Portuguese, 1 in Spanish. Overall, decent completion rate at the beginning. We have about that like 310 to 317. It starts to drop off a little bit at the end, down to, I think Kathy noted when I had sent that over, down to like 243. So we do lose a couple people by the end, but overall, I think pretty good response rate.
Okay, and we still have 1 more week.
Yeah.
So to the
Yep.
extent that we can mention and or share it and or, I don't know. Find a bugler, those still exist. Who knows, but maybe we can get another 40 or 50. Wouldn't that be lovely? It would. Okay,
And hopefully all of us have completed it.
I have a question.
ahead.
The River Walk Park,
What are we
it
doing?
doesn't say that there's ADA restrooms.
That's part that's highlighted in yellow isn't gonna even be there anymore. We're gonna be, I think, talking about the projects in more detail in chapter 5,
So that would-
Lauren.
you'd
that'll
set
be-
that
Yeah.
then.
Everything at the park will be
ADA.
Oh, yeah.
yes,
That's good.
AAB compliant, architectural access permit compliant, yep. Because it's a new park, so it all.
Perfect.
And once you start touching things, then you have to bring it up to,
Okay.
so that becomes an issue as well.
Can I ask you a question?
all right. Let's do the minutes from April 21st. Anybody have a motion for those?
I think your name should be added to the
Okay.
members present,
Oh, I've just been promoted. to-
being there.
So, right, so would anybody like to make a motion for the minutes as just amended?
So
Make a-
moved.
Got it. Christine just seconded it. I'm just gonna help you out there, Christine.
That's-
Thank you, Ellie. Seconded by Christine. Any discussion on the minutes? Nope. We'll take a roll call vote. Steve Zazansky,
Yes.
Gail Charette,
Yes.
Ellie Lawrence,
Yes,
Christine Marzigliano.
Yes.
Will Rubenstein, yes. Okay, done with the minutes. All right. let's talk about for a couple minutes and then we'll get some of our lives back. Let's talk about where we're headed, right? Because it's important since we haven't seen each other in almost a month. Just to kind of reframe where we are, what the deadlines are, what seems reasonable, what doesn't. So Cassie, I heard you say that it's still reasonable to go ahead and meet again in 2 weeks to discuss the other sections that we didn't discuss today. Is that right?
Yeah, we need to submit by the 30th of June. So we are motivated to continue pushing forward at as great speed as we can. We want to get the full report in a spot where it can be reviewed comprehensively by like mid-June at the latest. And so we need to get those sections done.
That's my.
Those early, sorry, I have some conflict going on
All right.
voice, but we'll get those last sections done, then you'll have a full comprehensive review by mid-June.
So that June 19th date,
What's June 19th?
well, we have the June 2nd meeting, which is when we're gonna look at the first initial drafts of 4 and 5.
Right.
And then the next meeting, I'm sorry, this is the
16th.
16th, sorry. Computer glasses on. That seems like maybe we want to delay that meeting a week, because you're not gonna have it till mid-month, and that's a pretty meaty thing to kind of go through the final review, kind of our final review of the draft, so that we feel comfortable with the draft before the next meeting. Is it possible to have a meeting on the 23rd of June? Or do we want to, I mean, I just don't know whether we would be able, I mean, we'd have that kind of taken away a couple weeks of time.
Well, I think there are two different questions. I guess the first question is, does it make more sense for the people that have to do the most amount of work? Does it make more sense to have a meeting on the 23rd as opposed to the 16th? To me, that's the first question. So what say you, people who have to do this fine work?
So if we're submitting by the 30th, the 23rd concerns me. I guess it depends on how many questions we get back. If there's text edits, tweaks that are incorporated directly into Word, that's easy. I think if there are larger questions that need to be sorted out amongst the group, that we need to have a meeting. And I guess I just don't want there to be more than just like accepting word tweaks at that point on the 23rd. Does that make sense?
I'll be able to attend if it's the 23rd.
No,
Maybe-
understood. I appreciate, I hear what you're coming from. I still want to stay on the subject of what makes the most sense, and then we'll figure out if we can actually get an attended meeting. Because I just want to defer to the people that have to get this work done. Sorry, Christine.
The submission itself is an emailed submission, so that like we could hit send on the 30th.
Yeah.
It's not like we have to print and package and all those
Okay.
things, so that helps. If we have larger comments, I guess I'd like to have more time to deal with those, and if it's just simply wordsmithing, then the 23rd seems fine to me.
So I guess on June 2nd, you'll have the updated versions of the chapters we've already seen, yes? And then chapters 4 and 5, new for everyone to look at. Does that make sense?
I think we'll be focusing our efforts on the new stuff
Okay,
first,
okay,
getting that done, and then there may be some lag on picking up edits on these sections. So you would see a comprehensive everything on the 16th, say, or whatever day we land on, but
right, but
I'm not sure I can promise that we'll get all of these edits plus new stuff done for the 2nd.
I guess my opinion is that I would like myself and staff to review a full packet. And then maybe there will be some red line edits that then can be incorporated in before it gets presented to the rest of the committee. Sometimes when I get it on Tuesday, it's really hard for me to review and comment on everything to get it into the packet. And I know it might be hard for them to do it. So when, depending on what happens on the 2nd might feed into what we do for the rest of the month and how far we get on the 2nd. I don't have a problem meeting on the 23rd. Because I have a feeling if we have a chance, if you're giving it to us being staff by middle of June, the full packet, it's gonna take us a week to look at it before we're like, maybe we have some edits, some things that you want to change. Because I want it to be, when we get it to the committee, it is more of like a couple word changes here and then maybe some changes there. It's not something that's comprehensively changing.
I'd like to propose a solution based on what I'm hearing, which is we're gonna meet on the 2nd. I think it may make sense for us to all hold the 23rd on our calendars right now. Just put it on there. And we're still gonna meet on the 16th unless there's a reason not to, but I think we should keep those next 2 meetings for sure. It sounds like, given the deadline that we've known has been coming since we started this process, that we should basically be holding the 2nd, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. Because I would imagine let's hope there's no reason to meet on the 30th, because if we met on the 2nd, the 16th, and maybe the 23rd to do the final cleanup, we don't need to meet on the 30th. Does that make sense, Cassie?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a need to meet on the 30th, but
Right, it sounds
I
like those,
understand
there may
the,
be reason to meet on the 23rd, we just don't know, we don't have enough information yet. But it would
Yeah.
not be responsible for us to not at least
Mhm.
have that time and date cleared, which hopefully Kathy can also do here internally. And again, nobody likes to meet for no reason, but it sounds to me like there would be a good reason possibly to meet on the 23rd, because this is the culmination, at least of this important part of the work that we're doing. I'm seeing a
Yeah,
lot of
this
nodding
is-
heads, so.
this is a draft. This is a draft submission. We'll
Right.
have a crack to finalize, but we want to put our best foot forward when we submit to the state and present to the committees, the powers that be within town.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think that makes sense. I will say I'm not going to be here on the 16th, but hopefully Lauren can join that day. And that's all I have to say on that matter, but
Well, you'll
that's
just-
great.
You'll just connect your brains with some sort of USB cable, and then Lauren will be fine to answer. all
Yeah.
your questions.
Yep.
I mean, everybody's not in their heads, so I don't think we need to have a whole lot of discussion.
Yep.
So.
We'll
we're
hold
gonna-
it both-
We're gonna hold on the 23rd, but we're certainly gonna be here the 2nd and the 15th. Okay, any other questions about that? Cool. Anything else? I guess it leads to the just last thing, I hope. Which is, what's life like on the other side of the 30th for this group? I can't remember. What we're supposed to be doing and how long we're supposed to do it for.
The presentations to the planning board, the board of selectmen
Right.
and the Concom.
But I mean, this group itself. Is it fair to say that the last meeting we're gonna have, or maybe for a while, could be on the 23rd?
Yes.
Okay, well, I just think it's important to say that, because,
Yes, I
Does.
would envision, I have no problem going to the planning board, conservation
Okay.
and the board of selectmen and presenting the plan. You know, if you guys want to attend, you know, as the committee that you know,
Sure.
obviously that's always welcome. And then we would wait, and I'm assuming Melissa would have a list of her comments on the final things that she might want incorporated into it. I don't know how long it takes for a review. Guys, does,
Lauren, on the most recent one we got back, how long did it between when you submitted and comments back?
I'm not 100% sure. I want to say it was like a couple of months, but that's some information that I can confirm.
okay, so basically, it's fair to say that this group may not meet again as a group until September.
There's definitely like, yeah,
Oh.
it's more than a few weeks turn between.
sense.
I
Well-
I can get a more accurate.
I mean, even
Yeah.
if they were rapid. And I would like to, praise our friends at the state level that they could be rapid. It is a possibility. We can say that out loud. That you still have to get all the comments back, and then you guys have to look at it. And then we have to meet. So I guess what I'm hearing is sometime in the middle, end of September. Depending, and you'll keep us updated through Kathy about whether that's even
That's fair.
likely. And then once we get to that point of the year, we hear all the comments, and then we have to then figure out what to do with them, right? And that might take a couple of meetings, right? Probably not a meeting. Is that fair? So
I think at some
just
point,
good to build expectations so we don't all wake up in July or August and say, you didn't tell me. Well, we are telling you.
I mean, at some point, depending on the edits that need to get made, maybe we're meeting without Weston and Sampson. I mean, they only have so
Right.
many meetings in their contract.
Wait, what? You don't have unlimited meetings? Okay, sorry.
Just to kind of finalize something. It's all a function of the significance of the comments. There's always comments.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're not that big a deal and we can just kind of review internally and say, yeah, this sounds good. And then just let you guys know that everything's moving forward or what edits we might have. So we can figure all that out.
So maybe by the end of October, this group will have finished its work as promised, as an ad hoc committee should only be ad hoc.
Agreed.
And should then disappear for X number of years until it reappears again. Okay, thank you for allowing me to talk that out loud with everybody. I think it's important since we have good attendance from certainly all the members of the commission itself. And thank you to all the excellent representation from our town staff that we're getting there. And we still have another 4 or 5 months left, but with a lot less intensity once we get to June 30th.
Agreed.
Cool. All right, anything else? Any new business? Anybody want 35 minutes of their lives back? Bill Benetti does. I know that.
He says 35 minutes before his next meeting. He's
That's what I
fine.
get. Now we
He's
get-
fine.
Now it's time for mental-
Yeah, half hour, that's great.
before the next meeting. Okay, I may have a motion to adjourn, please.
I'd make that motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Christine. Quick roll call vote. Steve Szanski,
Yes.
Gail Charette,
Yes.
Ellie Lawrence,
Aye.
Christine Marzigliano,
Aye.
Will Rubenstein, aye. We are adjourned, 10:26. Thank you very much to Lauren and Cassie.
Thank you.
Ellie, it's nice to see you. Bill, enjoy all, we got time to go out and check Packet Landing one more time. before the next
That's
meeting.
right.
Kidding.
Do
Thank
something.
you, Anthony. Thank you, Roby.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the 2nd.
Thank you all for your time. Take it.
Welcome.